Welcome world. You are in tune to another episode of Marvelous Talk with your main man, Dane. What's up, Dane?
What's cracking, true believers?
And of course, we've got our comic book legend, the man of myth, lore, my guy, Big G. What's up, man?
What's up? Big shout out, big thumbs up.
Always big thumbs up. And this week, you guys, man, we are here. It's finally here. We've left WandaVision, and we're on to the next Disney Plus series, Marvel series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This week, this was the first episode. And wow. We have an opportunity. Well, first, let's talk about the backdrop of what we see. What we know had just happened. The blip had happened. You know, we had heroes. Sam and Bucky both faded and were gone for 5 years. So let's establish that. Sam, Bucky both gone 5 years. Bam, they out of here. We know that we get to the end game. Everybody is brought back by Hulk, you know, during that time. And of course, we fight and we have this whole big epic battle against Thanos. We done whooped Thanos, it's over with. So 6 months after that, this series happens, right? So we're 6 months after that. And we first come on to the scene. Now here we are with this man, Sam, Falcon, on a plane. Now, the crazy thing about this whole thing is, and I got a couple of points, but we'll get into my second one. Crazy thing about this whole thing is this man's on a mission by his own self with just a ground team. Wow. So this opening scene is bananas. Dane, take it. Tell me what you thought about this opening scene, and as it came on, what was going on in your head?
Oh man, it felt like we were back in the big screen again. You know, it was typically what you would see at the beginning of a Marvel movie. You know, the action, the whole ambiance of just dazzle and pizzazz. It was all there, man. And yeah, man, it just shows you, you know, Falcon is no spring chicken. Pardon the pun, but he's a bad dude. I mean, we know that he did these reconnaissance missions, you know, when he was in the military, and so he's skilled at what he does. And man, but it's also funny to see that they brought your boy George St. Pierre, UFC legend, back as Batroc. That was cool to see him back in the equation. And funny thing, we know that he was introduced in the Winter Soldier with Captain America, so it's just funny to see him back fighting kind of in the same genre of characters with the Falcon. I don't think this is the last time we're gonna see Batroc, by the way. So, but yeah, I thought that was cool just to see old George St. Pierre, one of my favorite UFC fighters of all time. So great opening scene, man. I mean, like I said, it was just very exciting and it just full of what I'm sure was to come with the entire series.
G, what'd you think, man? What'd you think when you saw this opening series of him on the plane and then all these explosions? Talk to me about that.
Well, the scene was actually really great as far as like the content, throwback movies that, you know, which most people love as far as high adventure and all whatever else as far as the MCU is concerned, you know. But a little throwback to the very, very beginning was the whole part with Falcon and him and the shield and him ironing his shirt before we see him on the plane. That was a trip. You know, him ironing his shirt and then them thinking that he's not worthy. And then the next thing you know, he's on a mission, you know. But there was a lot of comic book. For those that don't know about comic book content, I mean, there was so many comic book like Easter eggs in that scene. The jumpsuits that the guys had on, that when they jumped out of the plane, those are AIM jumpsuits. I don't know if y'all remember it or not. If you go even back to Ant-Man and the Wasp, the colors of AIM now are black and yellow. Those black and yellow jumpsuits, straight up AIM jumpsuits. So, you know, who is he working for? Is he working for AIM? Is he working for himself? Is it just a coincidence as far as color coordination, we don't know. Because, definitely from WandaVision, it's easy to go down the Easter egg hole, but you don't know whether or not they're throwing back or they're trying to throw you off. But definitely the content. And my favorite part about the whole scene, really, to be honest, two things. First thing was the introduction of the new technology that the Falcon has on his suit, including the new Red Wing, wing that had all the Stark technology on it, from the laser to the rockets. So, I mean, it looked like a little baby Iron Man flying in the air.
Yeah.
That was like super cool, man. And then
that was cool.
the other part was the introduction of a character that I know that we're going to explore and talk about even more is, I don't know if he's Sergeant or Lieutenant Torres, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the MCU is concerned and the comic books is concerned, Torres is a big, deep Marvel character that basically goes on to become the Bucky to the new Captain America, But I'll leave it to the fellas to explore a little bit more about what Sergeant or Lieutenant Torres actually is in this movie, in this TV show.
Yeah, man. Definitely. And then, not to cut away, but I just want to cut into this whole thing with Bucky. We see Bucky going and definitely waking up, in this
nightmare.
Yeah, from a nightmare. He's waking up from a nightmare, quote unquote. And we know that it's not a nightmare. It's actually something that he did. He was familiar with the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier is definitely an assassin. He's just an assassin. I don't know why they're calling him Winter Soldier. Maybe it was cold. I don't know. But
Russia.
I'll leave that up to our comic book man. It is what it is. That was just, if y'all didn't know, that was a punch from Django right there. That was a line from Django that I just told. Who knows why, they name themselves these things. Maybe it was cold at night. Y'all will get it later. Anyway, my whole thing is you see him having this flashback and he wakes up from when he killed an innocent bystander. Well, this kind of looks like nothing, but as we play, we say this all the time, Kevin Feige wastes nothing. So, definitely he wakes up and then now we see him with his counselor and he's talking to his counselor. So Dane, kind of talk to me about this whole interaction that we see with Bucky.
So it's typical a lot of times when you're dealing with trauma, especially someone as powerful as Bucky is, the last thing you want to do is show your vulnerability. So, he won't even admit to the lady that he's having, nightmares. She asked him straight up, so you still having these nightmares? And he's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, why are you lying to me? It's like, come on, dude. I know people with your background. I know what you're dealing with, and basically she's trying to get him to just admit, that he has these, these thoughts are still plaguing him, you know what I'm saying? And he's kind of very reluctant, to admit it. And at the same time, the fact that she points out the fact that he doesn't even have, he doesn't even have 10 phone numbers in his phone. Basically, she's like, you need to develop relationships. You need to foster relations. Like even Sam's been texting, you haven't even replied. So Bucky's in a place where he's isolating himself, and you could say it's for various reasons. Could be the guilt of the past, or it just could be, once again, that you got to realize that he's just now living his life. He's just now really living, because in the beginning of him even trying to begin living a life, he got blipped, and then he comes back, and the trauma of what has happened already with him, plus the trauma of where we are in the current state of the world. So he's a very, I have a lot of sympathy for him as a character, man, because at this point, when you think about it, he really doesn't have anybody. If you think about it, he doesn't really have. He had Steve, but I think the show is putting in a situation where now he has another opportunity to develop another relationship that's going to help him thrive as a character, as a person. So, Big G, I throw it at you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel all of that, all that information concerning the Winter Soldier. You know, comic book world wise, Winter Soldier is such an in-depth character that, you know, they take you on a roller coaster ride with him dealing with guilt, shame, um, pain, agony from things, the decisions that he made, and him moving from a bad guy to a hero. So I think, you know, Kevin Feige did a pretty good job of just the initial layout of saying, okay, where are we at right now as far as this guy turning from an assassin, a killer, whatever you wanted to call him, into a hero. You know, one of the things that was real interesting, though, that I saw, that I paid attention to, I saw in the first drop for him in the show was his arm, and it was the first time we actually got a full view of his arm, his new arm that was given him from Wakanda, attached to his body, and you saw like details and all whatever else. So it's got me wondering, man, is his arm way different than that silver arm we saw with the star? And then the second thing was the throwback to something that Sam Wilson said to Captain America in the Winter Soldier show. He said, "Oh, you sleep on the ground, right?" He said, "Your bed's too soft because it's, you know, you felt like you're sleeping on a marshmallow." And when Bucky wakes up out of it, he's literally laying on the floor with a little bitty small blanket and a pillow. So, you know, you can tell he's definitely a traumatized Army veteran that's going through some type of extreme PTSD or extreme just trying to overcome all the trauma that he's faced for all the assassinations that he's done for the past, you know, X amount of years prior to him. And then now coming back and just trying to live his life, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the man been an assassin for the better part of 70 years. I mean, you done did some work for over 70 years, 90 years actually. Over 90 years, you done did some work as an assassin. So, I mean, definitely your body count, and I'm not talking about that. Your body count is nice when you're Winter Soldier. But here's the things you got to think about with the Winter Soldier. He is, and Big G kind of said this before, with the Winter Soldier, he is like Captain America, a super soldier. You know what I'm saying? He's not a regular individual. He has taken some variant of the super soldier serum that makes him really fast. Y'all remember that scene where he's running away from Black Panther? They weren't just running like it, you know, Michael Johnson or what's my guy's name?
Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt.
They're not running at them speeds. They running faster than that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're outrunning cars at this point. You know, and they're jumping off of buildings at high. I mean, these are enhanced individuals, right? So you have an enhanced individual who has done his share of killing and had body counts. And yeah, you're right, Dane. You're right, G. That they're gonna have these moments where, you know, dang, they've done a lot of damage. And then coming back to it as a person, now you have to kind of come to grips. You have to meet who you are and begin to heal from that person. And I think this is going to be a journey for Bucky. I think this is going to be a real journey for him, learning who he is, learning about himself, and coming to peace with what he's done. You know, which brings me to my point. He has a list. He has a list of people that he's trying to do right by and make amends with, right? So we come back to Bucky. We come back to Sam at this point, and Sam says Sam is finished with the mission. He's done saved this army member. I don't know why he was going after him, but I'm sure we'll find out some more about this character. But as he's fixing his tech, he said something that was super interesting to me. He said, "Yeah, man, because Torres was trying to help him fix it. And while Torres was trying to help him fix it, he said, no, man, hands off. He said, because every time I get my tech back from y'all, it's got a malfunction with it. Why every time I get my tech back from y'all, there's a malfunction with it? I'm gonna let G get to this. I'm gonna let G get to that. But this whole exchange was, to me, showing Torres and Sam building a relationship. And you have to know that Sam's a counselor, so he knows he's a people person. He knows how to deal with folks. So, Dane, what did you think about this scene?
I thought it was cool because you got to really see him, like you mentioned, is that he's engaging with Torres, kind of gave us some background information about, where he's at with the tech and kind of where he's getting ready to head to, which is another very, very monumental part of the whole episode. So, yeah, I think also the great part about this was that we get introduced for the first time to one of the possible, if more than one, I think, just about to speculate, but one of the nemesis that is going to be in this movie, and that's the group, the Flag Smashers. Torres identifies their marking, which is like a hand. I believe it's a hand overtaking the world, I think. And so, yeah, so that was an important piece of information, the information about the Flag Smashers. Who we're gonna get to see more of this into the show later on. But yeah, it was a cool moment, man.
Yeah. Gee, what you think?
Yeah. Well, y'all know I'm Conspiracy Jones, when it comes to like even the MCU world and all whatever else. And I think this is the first time when we, outside of the Sokovia Accords, we were sort of left hanging was we knew that the Accords existed. We knew that the ones that didn't sign it, they were like on a refugee mission. And then we seen that team of like that secret Avengers or Night Avengers or whatever you wanted to call them break up and disband it, And now are we starting to see the disparities that possibly exist for heroes, even that has real world content? Are we seeing disparity now where there's some type of something going on of why they're setting up Falcon? Are they trying to ruin him? Are they trying to mess his reputation? Are they trying to kill him? I mean, what's going on? Because, he didn't have any problems when he was dealing with Iron Man and Steve Rogers. When he was dealing with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, he didn't have no glitch with the tech and he didn't have no such and such and such. So now all of a sudden, because he's Falcon on his own, is this the beginning that we're seeing somebody getting set up? Or there's a problem, or are we seeing real world situations that is coming to the big screen when you start talking about disparities amongst racial and cultural lines, because Marvel hasn't tapped into that yet. So it's new to see, and to be honest, for me, it was a little frustrating. We had a conversation off camera and I was like, man, I see some stuff, but I understand it. And I really like the part that both Dame and Ma told me and explained to me. They was like, you have to bring real world concepts to the big screen to let people buy into it, because you got to expose it first before you can deal with it. So, I think now really thinking about the conversation we had, this is an in-depth look at a character that we can start dealing with real world issues about. Maybe there's some disparities that's going on with the Falcon. That's just what I saw.
Good point.
And then, Dane kind of alluded to it. And, we go to a moment where Torres asked him, well, where is Cap? Some people say he's holed up on the moon. We had, a place where he asked him where's Cap. And then he said something real smart, like Sam always does. Sam got these one-liners. He's like, I'm going to handle moon issues.
Moon stuff. Moon
issues. You know what I'm saying? So, and then we see him in DC, giving a speech at what looks to be Captain America's funeral,
like a eulogy, or it looked like it actually was a dedication, man, more because they were at the Smithsonian.
Yeah, let's just kiss and say goodbye. Let's kiss and say goodbye.
But we know that he wasn't dead, right? I mean, he was old. He was old. We know he was definitely old. He was old as I'll get out, but we know he wasn't dead. So here it is, and here's the thing where we kind of spoke about this earlier, but in order to be something, you have to realize that you are that something. You have to realize it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't come to the knowledge of who and what you are, then you'll never be able to actually function in that office. So here we have Sam just doubting himself because all he kept hearing was, it feels like it's somebody else's. When Cap gave him that shield and he asked him, how does it feel? He said, it feels like it's somebody else's. And Cap even told him, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. You know what I'm saying? Cap sees something in him that he doesn't see in himself. So because of that, here he is saying, here, I'm going to give a valuable part of what my friend gave me to somebody else. Why would he do that? We're going to see. But Dame, what do you think about this whole scene?
Yeah, man. So like I said, man, and we talked once again what G was saying. We talked off camera. I just hate that Sam, this is just Damon talking, okay? I hate that because we knew that him and Cap had a nice relationship. I mean, they were tight. And that's why I believe Cap can trust him with the shield. Like you just said, Ahmad, he saw something in Sam that made him feel confident, knowing that Bucky was his boy from, like, we talking the 1930s, 40s. That was his boy. He overlooked his boy and said, I trust Sam based on our relationship more to give a shield to him than Bucky. Now, we know Bucky was a straight up killer, so I wouldn't have trusted him with the shield anyway. But based on that information, I would have thought that Sam would have felt worthy enough just from the relationship of having the Captain America in his life as his right-hand man, you know, on your left, you know, being in that situation that he would have said, you know, I might not be ready to take the shield up, but I'm gonna hold on to it. I just thought it was really strange that he was just willing to just give it up that quick. That's just my take on it. But based on what we were saying and what Mark was saying earlier, I can get it. You know, the fact that he felt there's no way I can, you know, fill these shoes, because that's some big shoes to fill. But based on their relationship and based on the things that they had been through, I thought he would have saw himself. At least that's just like if you gave me a gift, bro, and it's something that's precious to you. I'm like, man, I ain't worthy to have that gift. That might make you feel a little, you know, like, hey, man, we boys this long, and you don't value what I give you to the point that you're willing to just give it away that quick. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, first glance, that's what it came to my mind.
Yeah. And G, what do you think about that scene? What do you think about that whole scene?
It was. I believe it was the birthplace of a hero. You know, we're talking about Falcon becoming the new Captain America, right? We're talking about Falcon becoming the new Captain America. So he's letting go the Falcon, you know, but he doesn't want to let go the Falcon, because in order for him to become Captain America, he got to let the guy that he knows go forever, you know. Yeah. And that's why he was like more or less looking at it like, man, Steve, thank you, I appreciate it, but I got a lot of stuff that I got to work out with me from being Falcon before I could grab hold of becoming the new guy, which is the Captain America, you know. And he kept looking. I don't know if you guys picked up on this or not too. He kept looking at that shield even more than he would look at Steve, the poster that was behind him. So it was like what that shield represented was so much more than Steve Rogers. And even in the context of the conversation, he made a reference to say, yeah, it's the monorage or the symbol, but what makes the symbol is the person behind the symbol, you know. And I don't think he was ready to just jump, but I can definitely say if there was a birthplace where the struggle became real and he did it public, because I mean, really think about this. Every hero we ever saw in the MCU that they went in depth with as far as character, they had to struggle to become what they really were. I mean, they just blew that up just big right in front of our face in WandaVision. So blowing up a struggle with a person changing or transforming or metamorphosing into a person is a real struggle. You know, he struggled with becoming who he is. And that's really a comic book line, because Falcon really struggles in the comic book with holding on to the mantle of Captain America.
You know what was interesting? To echo what you just said, you know what was interesting? there was somebody else that didn't kind of approve of what happened, and that was old War Machine, Mr. Rhodes.
Well,
Because
we were about to get into that. We're about to get into that, and because I wanted to, the point that I wanted to point out is that Iron Man did the same thing. You know, he had to admit, I am the famous line, "I am Iron Man." You know, why do you have to say that? Well, he was trying not to accept that mantle, but he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And every character goes through that whole thing. So now we have this, and where Dane was going, we have this interaction with him and Rhodey. You know what I'm saying? Rhodey is talking and he's walking through him, and I really believe in my heart of hearts, Rhodey was trying to make him see that giving that up was wrong, right? He was trying to make him see that giving it up was wrong. He was trying to make him see, but he couldn't make him take it. He wanted him to see it for himself, to embrace who it was. See, Rhodey's a wise character. Reason why I say that is you got to go back to when Clint was killing everybody. Clint was killing everybody, and you know, Rhodey was having this interaction with Natasha, and he was counseling Natasha, trying to say, hey, you know, look, man, you know, you got to admit that this is who this man is right now, but you know, he's doing this. So, you know, Clint was kind of Rhodey was trying to really reason with her, and you see the same type of reasoning take place between him and Sam. And Dane, go ahead and expound on this interaction in which you were talking about in the very beginning.
Nah, man, that was excellent. What you were already just kind of painting that picture. I mean, Rhodey, you got to realize he's in the upper branches of the military, so he knows how this stuff works. It's almost like he was reading the tea leaves. Like you've relinquished this, and you really shouldn't have. And we're going to see the implications of him not laying hold of that at that moment. And in Rhodey's eyes, he's like, if anybody was worthy to take up the mantle, that's what he asked him. He's like, why didn't you take up the mantle? Because he realized, Steve, if he recognized that this was the man should take up the mantle, obviously it was the man, because we know Captain America was, you know, impeccable at heart and character. So for him to entrust it to somebody, that was definitely that person that was meant to carry on that role. So I thought the interaction with Rhodey was awesome. I thought the way, and like you said, Mark, he didn't tell him, man, you should have. Sam needs to see it for himself. And I think Rhodey just laying it out like that is going to come back to Sam's remembrance what happened in that conversation. But I thought that was on him. And like he told him, he said, hey, man, it's a different time, brother. It's a different time. That line right there just lets you know, hey, man, it's a different time. It requires a different hero. Captain America was that hero for that time. For this time, we need a hero, and that's you.
That's you. And what you think, G?
Yeah, for sure. Now I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with him. You know, the whole layout when he said, you know, when he asked him, hey, you know, why'd you give it up? You know, and then when he explained to him really what's really going on in the world, because remember, Rhodey lived through the blip. Rhodey never left Earth. You know, Rhodey was present during the 5 years, and he saw everything change. You know, when they got blipped out, the Sokovia Accords jumped off, and Thanos, they was fighting Thanos. They come back. Now it's a world without borders. You know, and you actually have people that, for a lack of better words, excuse me for saying it like this, is pissed off because these people were blipped back. You know, there were people that was actually financially, physically, mentally was doing outstanding, why the world lost half its population. And then all of a sudden they go from being on top and you blip these people back and now we lose again? Oh no, they're not really feeling it. So, you know, Rhodey's like, look, man, you're the guy for that because nobody else can really do it. We was all here. We experienced what happened. You didn't. So you're coming in like with fresh eyes, looking at the situation and scenario versus like being one of us that had to live the experience, you know? So yeah, he's like telling him, look, man, it's time. It's time for this. It's go time, but you got to be ready to go. You know, it's not on us to make you. It's on you to find that inner strength for yourself.
And you know, the funny thing is, and Dame will remember the exact quote because he's good with this. He said it, and I think you mentioned it earlier. He said it. It's not the symbols, it's the person. that creates the symbol, that's behind the symbol. And it's funny that they in the Smithsonian and you seeing all of this Captain America gear, and you knew the man. You knew the man. You actually knew the man, and the man vouched for you. So I mean, literally, this is something that you're gonna have to. Sam is gonna have to see it within himself, and I believe that the road for Sam seeing it is gonna lead to one person. And I think that one person's really going to help him more. We'll get into that a little bit later. But that next scene that we see is we see Bucky with I can't skip past this. Bucky, he has his list, and he told his counselor, he had set up the one person on the list, which I think is going to come back to really be a part of it. But then, Bucky has a friend. You see this alley scene going on, and his friend is angry and raging because somebody is putting garbage in his garbage compactor, and he's mad about it. He's angry.
Cat name Unique.
Yeah,
sounds like Monique.
So he comes in, and you see that Bucky has this one friend, and he's talking to. And what are the chances, man? What are the chances? But you see how close they are. And they go out to eat. And while they're out to eat, his friend, who's an older gentleman, hooks him up with the waitress at the table. Now, Bucky's 100 and some odd years old. He's old fashioned. He don't do it like that. And he was talking about, how he just, he normally doesn't do it like that. So he got the date. And during the date, Bucky kind of realizes something. And he goes to his friend's house, and lo and behold, there's the picture of Bucky's nightmare, right? So this whole scene, this whole interaction right now has my heart. It's just pulling at my heart, because now Bucky has to admit a hard truth to himself and say, man, it's almost like he's facing himself yet again. I'm facing another moment of despair and disappointment in myself. I couldn't stop myself. I didn't make this decision, but because of this decision, now this man is without a son, and my heart is broke. So how did you feel about this whole interaction and this whole scene, Dane? Talk to me, man.
So what you need to understand, like you said, with the list, this list is his list of making amends. I honestly think, this is just my take on it from just the way that the scene kind of, how it worked out itself. I think that he knew that man was the father of that young man that he killed. I think he befriended him on purpose just to make amends, because if you notice, the man brought up about his son in the bar, and Bucky immediately, that look came on him, like, when the girl in the date brought up the fact that she said there's a name for a husband that loses a wife, or whatever, I think another, but she said there's not a name for a father that loses a child, or that the child dies before the father. And again, that feeling came on him. And I think when he rushed over to Yuri at that time, I think he was ready to spill the beans and just admit it. But when he saw that man trying, I think that just arrested him, and he just he couldn't do it. Because like I said, the first time the man mentioned the son, immediately that look, he came on him like, So I think his whole, being in a relationship with the old man, you got to remember, he's a spy, dude. So he knew how to find this old man, and knew where he was. So I think that he was just befriending him just to make amends for that killing of his son. But that second time he came to him, man, I think he was ready to tell it, but he just couldn't do it, because only could imagine what that would have done to the old man at that point. Probably would have tried to kill Bucky, but it would have had to off him, So yeah, it is a sad situation, man. But once again, it's just showing the level of despair that this character has had to deal with in his life.
Yeah. I picked up on character content, and I I don't know if you guys seen this or noticed this, but I almost feel like James Buchanan Barnes is on one end of the spectrum and Sam Wilson is on the other end of the spectrum.
Definitely.
James Buchanan Barnes knows exactly who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he knows I'm the Winter Soldier, but he's not cool with it. Even in the rules that the lady gave him, you know, I'm not the Winter Soldier. I'm James Buchanan Barnes, right? I'm not this killer. I'm not this guy, but he's a hero. And not only is he a hero, he's a superhero. So he's got super soldier formula in him, just like Cap does. So you see James Buchanan Barnes moving towards this way, like in the middle. But then you got Falcon on the other side, who is not okay with who he is. He doesn't want to be the new Captain America. He's the old Falcon, you know. And so you got two contrasting characters that is like two ships in the night, and they're moving towards meeting each other somewhere in the middle. Now, what that middle point is, nobody knows. But I do see where he knows who he is, and not only does he want to he wants to make amends for it, but he actually wants to become like the Winter Soldier, you know, the good guy, you know, the hero, you know, the one that gets credit for saving the world. He doesn't want to be the assassin that killed Tony Stark's parents. You know, he doesn't want to be that guy anymore. Yeah. So it's like a total contrast of characters where you got one guy moving from one side and another guy moving from another side. Where they're going to meet and how, I just know it's going to be good when they finally do admit that they need each other.
Amen. You know? Shout out to Sister Shuri for getting that bad seed out of him.
yeah.
That's so appreciated, sister. We thank you. You know, the funny thing about this whole scenario is that when you look at Winter Soldier, I wouldn't have compared Sam and Winter Soldier. I think that was really, really good, Sean, because I feel like they're the odd couple, but that balance is really gonna work, right? I look at Bucky and I look at Cap, right? I compare the two of them, and you know, when you look at it, like I was saying before, Bucky has lived 100 and some odd years and lived all of them except the 5 years that he was blipped away, right? Cap missed 70 years of his whole life, right? And those 70 missing years that he was gone, Bucky was still alive and killing folk. So Bucky made a quote and said, "Hey man, I found peace when I was in Wakanda." So he was, just like Dame said, he was just getting to a place where he was living his life, where he was beginning to start living and loving his life. Then he was pulled back to war. Wherefore, as Captain America don't know life without war. War is Captain America's life. That's why he's lost when there's no water fight, because I got nothing else. And it's crazy. It feels like Captain America was ripped away from his life. Bucky was forced into his. So it's kind of like the same character in different ways. Like you get a character who was forced into that life, and you got a character who was ripped out of that life. So one wants to run back to it, the other's trying to get away from it. So you see this whole tug of war happening inside of the Winter Soldier, and that's why now I finally get it. That's why Cap wanted to help him in the Winter Soldier, not just because he was his boy Bucky, but because he saw that same interesting dichotomy going on inside of himself. What do you guys, real quick, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, that's money. I can't even add nothing to that. That's a good just way to and I analyze it. I think that's absolutely. I don't have nothing to add to that because you nailed it.
Yeah, I'm for sure. But you know that's hero. You know, HERO. You know, they've said it all along. It's complex being a hero. You know, being a hero is a hard thing.
It is.
So that's the whole idea. You know, this is a hero.
And then we flip out to the next scene. We see it's the Flag Smashers now. He's with the Flag. Torres is out here with the Flag Smashers. Well, no, first, but Sam goes to see his sisters.
Yeah.
So, you know, Sam is with his sister, and you get this interesting look into Sam's whole life, and they kind of lay out Sam's whole backstory off. His sister kind of tells Sam's whole backstory, and you get an opportunity to see where Sam's from, his nephews, how they're grown up now, and how the blip has really affected Sam's family while he was gone. So now we had this interesting little scene where we find out that Sam, the family business, which is a shrimping business, old out shout outs to Forrest Gump. You know what I'm saying? It was a shrimping business, and definitely it's barely getting along. It's barely, staying afloat. And Sam's sister, which he, must be his big sister, because she's really giving him the business and working with him. But Sam knows how to talk. He's a people person once again, and he has some ideas to save the business. So while he's doing this, he's talking about going to the bank and getting a loan, and they go to the bank. And there's this whole weird scene, and we all have three different vantage points of the scene. But I'm gonna leave it here, and I'm gonna let Dane kind of talk about what he saw with Sam's whole backstory, and then the whole bank scene. It was crazy.
Yeah, man. So what I got from, man, it's just they're people. At the end of the day, like we're saying, they're heroes, but you got to remember these are people that. They got to put their pants on just like everybody else, the same way. So just understanding the financial struggle that his sister has had to endure in keeping the business going. Sam been gone 5 years, parents gone, she's by herself with these kids. So very much this scene brought everything into real world situations, like stuff that people deal with every day. How I'm gonna maintain this business, but I only have this much money. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought they did an excellent job in just really making it down to earth. I mean, they got away from the superhero stuff and they got into real world situations, and I thought that was incredible, man, just to see it. That the writers and the people involved in this show kind of get an understanding, if not a full. I mean, once again, it's a TV show, so we're not getting real in depth and stuff. But the very fact that they made Falcon, okay, yeah, he's a hero, but when he takes his wings off, he's a regular dude. So I thought that was excellent how they covered that in the show in this specific situation. Definitely with the bank situation too.
Yeah, for sure. But I want to tell y'all, because I'm always a comic book head. So this is actually, in my opinion, a throwback to the comics. What a lot of people don't know about Sam Wilson, that Sam Wilson was, when he was first drawn into the comic books, Sam Wilson was a criminal. The reason why Sam Wilson was a criminal and why he stole and stuff like that, because his parents financially struggled with their money, with their business, with being from Louisiana and not never having enough, but wanting to have enough. So Falcon first appeared in the Marvel comic books as a criminal and a villain that went from place to place. Now, he's not stealing from the bank per se, but it's a throwback to show how his character was actually even born. Falcon got in trouble because he stole from Ulysses Claw, who was fighting Black Panther, and got drawn over with Captain America, and at the time he wasn't even the Falcon, to fight Ulysses Claw with the Panther, and stole a vibranium suit to fight. And that's how he became the Falcon in the actual comic book. His uniform wasn't red and white, it was green and gold, and it was like he didn't have the powers that you see him have now. Even to the point to where his ability to be able to commune, like how we see in the MCU him commune with mechanical animals, which is his technology. Well, in the comic book, him being able to commune with animals and him talking to his Falcon, his sidekick, came once he proved that he was worthy to just be who he is. So MCU, Kevin Feige always got to spin it and put some real world stuff on it. But definitely, I agree with what Dame and Ma was saying as far as creating a struggle in the character. Because, like I said, Falcon struggled really hard in the comic books with finances. I mean, like I said, he was a thief, so it wasn't like, it wasn't like he wasn't a real world guy. So seeing them spin it, but in a positive light about a character and not making him a flat out criminal, but making him saying, hey, look, I got to go to a bank to get some help, what was a good thing. I had a couple of other views too, but I really thought and processed that about like, hey, looking at the comic book way that they spun Sam Wilson versus how they spun him in the TV show, that's thumbs up for that, man, because they really gave him a positive outlook on a character, especially a minority character. Gave a positive outlook on that type of character.
No doubt.
Definitely.
No doubt.
So, moving forward on this, we're going to kind of touch that issue again with that last scene. We're going to touch it. But moving forward, we have the flag smashes, and we have, this whole thing where Torres is walking and he is kind of being a part, getting into proactively, because he was just supposed to observe, but
he's infiltrating.
Yeah, he's proactively getting into this whole thing, and you see somebody, Captain America, Bucky style, jump out of a window with a bank and where was this bank at again?
I think we're in Germany.
Okay.
Yes, it was. It was in Germany.
Wherever they were, I do believe that this isn't just a staged incident. I feel like there's some inside help going on somewhere. You know what I mean? I feel like, because if you give the backdrop of the flag smashes, they liked it. They liked the way that the world was while it was blipped. They like that. So there's some money somewhere and some people in big places that are trying to help them to keep this whole thing going. You can't tell me that it's not. So I mean, this is me getting on the conspiracy train again. Here I go, choo choo. I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? Conspiracy 101.
It's no conspiracy. It's no conspiracy, bro. It's spelled Zemo. Zemo.
Oh,
that's who's behind it.
Maybe so. But I'm on the choo choo. I'm on the train. I'm pulling it. But he's out. He's got these bags. And the reason why they all have the mask on, so Torres has on the mask, so that we could confuse the police and the authorities, and it wouldn't be no issues. But Torres got smart, and he ran and he pulled. He's like, hey, trying to arrest the dude that just jumped out the building. Now you just saw this man jump out of the building.
That wasn't smart.
Yeah,
that wasn't smart.
The brother legs should have been knee meat all over the place if this was a regular guy, but. His knees didn't pop. He stood and he kicked the dude into a pole that was probably like 7 feet away. Listen, man, this is.
And you gonna try to arrest him by yourself?
Yeah, by yourself. It's just not the smartest of an idea. And you got kicked in the face, and he didn't break your face. Now I'm kind of looking at Torres sideways too. I mean, because he kicked you hard enough to hurt you, but not to kill you. I don't understand that. Like, I mean, do they got a good heart? The flag smashers got a good heart. They don't want to kill you. If you're getting in the way, I don't know. So what you guys think, man? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, for one thing, Torres, man, I thought the boy was gonna die. Like literally in that scene, the way the dude kicked him in the face, I thought he was gonna die, honestly. But it's just an interesting situation how they set up the scene, with every last one of them having on mask, and the guy that had the bags transferred them to some more people. So it's like you don't know who to stop, because it's like almost like it's like chaos in action. That's what it seemed like. That whole scene was planned chaos that they had set in motion. And so they set them up real good. But like I said, we don't know the full gamut of what what G just said about that bank scene, and knowing that Zemo is in this movie, this TV show, he's going to actually have some interaction with them, I believe. But to what degree, we don't know. But they're definitely a group that's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But, yeah, man, Torres, that wasn't smart for him to jump in front of that dude, knowing what he just did to that other guy with the flag. Bro, knocked that dude into the street lights, man.
Kick that dude's sternum out.
Yeah, hey man. So this is the thing. This is the whole scene where we see an introduction of somebody else that's got some power, right? Are these folks? What are they? Because they acting like some super soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, no, they got super strength, super light speed. Jump out of building, you didn't break both your legs. You know, so how is it all of a sudden that somebody else is acting like they're a super soldier? You know, so I mean, is this setting up the whole Weapons Plus program, Super Soldier program? Because somebody has been playing with some formula somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's either that or that dude's a mutant. You know, because you just can't, nobody just arbitrarily jump out of a building and not smash both their legs and then kick a dude like halfway down the street, you know, and then smash another dude's face on one kick. And the whole time, did he drop the bags?
No,
I don't know if he ever dropped the bags.
He handed them off to two more people.
Yeah, he was hauling people out with, you know, and ain't, you know, money bags. I don't know about y'all, but money bags are heavy. You know, I done carried a money bag before, and they're heavy. They're not light. So, you know, you carry a money bag and you hauling people out. This guy got some power, man. So who's behind all of this? You know, and how did he get it? Even more so, because in the last part we saw somebody with some super soldier. Zemo popped them all in the head because he said, "Hey, look, I don't want no more heroes." So he popped them. You know, they was in freeze, cryogenic freeze, and he popped them all in the head. So now, how did this dude get it?
I got a question though. Was there serum there that Zemo might have got and hid? I mean, because it's where they were creating them, so could have been some serum still there, and Zemo hid it knowing that he was going to be captured. He wanted to be captured anyway. He was there way before them, you know, and could he have hid?
Well, I don't know.
Bro, I don't know.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out, I believe.
I don't know. I just know that somebody is acting like Cap that ain't Cap. This dude looked like he looked like the Undertaker on the WWE. And he's hauling people out for real, you know. So I'm like, man, who is this dude?
Is it an inside job? Maybe the government probably did.
Yeah. It's either a super soldier or a mutant. We ain't figured it out yet. We'll see as we go.
Yeah, it feels different. And then the last thing we want to cover is the big reveal. And I didn't trust. None of us trusted this dude with, "Oh, you did the right thing." No, there's always some politician or some general or some guy who's sleazy who's trying to convince you that you're doing right because you're doing exactly what they want you to do. So I mean, you know, here's the skinny. You know, Sam gave the shield back, and here comes this guy, and he talking about, yeah, we need a symbol. We need a symbol, and you know, definitely
we need our own hero, is what he said. We need our own hero.
Our own hero. So here's where it leads me back to this whole thing. We know Isaiah Bradley is in this. We know. Why do we know? Because, you know, we have an older man cast. They ain't said his name yet. But then they, at the end, you know, as Falcon and Winter Soldier's going off, if you stop and pause the credits, definitely you can see what I'm talking about. There's two things that showed. One of the things that we see is a super soldier serum, vialing like a bullet, right? And right above it, we have the power brokers watching. Just like with WandaVision, they gave us clues in the credits, right? Mm-hmm. So also we have a file, a super soldier file, and some stuff tore off. And right there, you see a face of a man, an older man, but it's talking about a super soldier. So this is not theory. I'm not Bugs Bunny swinging. This is not a theory. This is an older man, and this older man has to be Isaiah Bradley. And if you know the story, G is going to hit on the story. So I'm not even going to get in that, but he's going to hit on the story just a little before we quit at the end of this episode. But here we are. They're saying we have this man saying we need our. So you're trying to tell me, and I love Marvel for this. I love Marvel for bringing this up. You're trying to tell me that Sam wasn't good enough. And it wasn't good enough that Sam wasn't good enough because he didn't think he was good enough. No, Sam wasn't good enough for the same reason why Sam didn't get that loan in the bank, right? So, and Sam wasn't good enough for the same reason why G's going to tell you Isaiah Bradley wasn't good enough. And so, you know, in certain people's eyes, Sam wasn't good enough to be the new Captain America. Now, also, Sam wasn't good enough because he didn't sign the Sokovia documents. So, yeah, you know, Sam wasn't good enough. He ain't signed because Cap didn't sign. He was rolling with Cap. Now, if Cap had to sign, he probably would have signed. But, Dane, what do you think about this whole exchange?
I thought it was foul because, once again, going back to what we said, proven track record. Forget all of the stuff that he didn't do with the Sokovia Accords and all that other mess. This man came and basically helped bring back things the way they were. You know what I'm saying? He's doing contract work with the military, you know, stuff that they can't. So I'm like, let's look at this man's track record. And then you're going to bring in this dude, this weird looking dude, looking like the old man from Up with a Captain America suit on. I mean, come on, man. He looked like the old man from Up, man, with a suit on.
Like Al Bundy with like Al Bundy with a super suit on. What is this?
That brother sitting there looking like he's straining. I'm like, dude, come on, man. So I just thought it was foul, man, the way they did, you know, Sam, because he's proven himself. But once again, you gotta listen at the overtones that this director dude, whoever he is, we need a hero that's our own hero. I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? So yeah, man, there's a lot of undertones there, but the bottom line is they did Falcon wrong because how much more did he need to do to prove that he was the man that was worthy to carry the mantle? So yeah.
Falcon. And I think we'll find out more as the story goes on. I definitely feel like there's some type of undertone. You know, it could be racial, could be financial, but there's some type of undertone to like limit him from becoming the character or the hero that we all want, need, and have to have at the time, right? So that was a big thing. But then, like I said, to see them introduce, and we all know from the prelude that this is John Walker. You know, John Walker is in comic book land is called the U.S. agent. He held the Captain America mantle a little bit, but he's not really U.S. agent. I mean, he's not really Cap. He's U.S. agent. You know, so I think that's number one was foul. But then what Mom was talking about, Isaiah Bradley, man. Isaiah Bradley is, for those that don't know, is the original Weapons Plus Weapon 1 program and protocol of Captain America. When they drew or they wrote the Captain America series, they do a lot of parallels and comparisons Stan Lee did and Jack Kirby did compared to real world. So the Tuskegee Airman was a big thing during the time when they was writing the book. So as they wrote the book, they did a comparative in the Tuskegee Airmen talking about what if the super soldier formula, they did it and they experimented on black military soldiers, right? So on the prologue, it's experiment 07565, right? So that means you have experimented on 7,565 different people. And it finally worked to where this guy became the super soldier, right? And then he was given a mission, right? In his first mission, he was full head to toe Captain America Gambit. Had a shield, had a uniform and everything. But in the comic books, all of a sudden Isaiah Bradley was taken off the Weapons Plus program and he disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to him until years and years and years later, you find out that he was actually set up by the government to just be the experiment one, and they never expected him to live. So now you got this guy who's a hero that has to live forever as having the powers of Captain America, but can't tell nobody what he can and can't do. You know, so there's a lot of little undertones, like I said, racially and all whatever else that's going on with Isaiah Bradley and John Walker, the U.S. agent. So I don't know if y'all saw that, but fellas, that's what I saw, you know.
Definitely. And thank you for the background on Isaiah Bradley, because most people don't know that, you know, this man was the first Captain America. You know what I mean? So Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think the writing is excellent to kind of bring this whole thing back up to the top. And I think we're going to get a lot of great show. Dane, did you have something else to say?
No, man, I was just saying, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the direction they go in, especially like with Isaiah Bradley being in the end credits. Like, how are they going to integrate that into the show? Is he going to be one that will come alongside Falcon and kind of mentor him to basically say, hey, it's like, but basically giving him that same speech that Worldy gave him. It's like, hey, man, this is your time now, you know. So it's gonna be interesting, man, to see where they go from it. It's shaping up to be a great series.
Shaping up to be a great series. And as always, you can get all of the good and the insight right here at Marvelous Talk. And if you like this, man, if you love this, man, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe. You know, it's no spoilers because, I mean, by now, everyone has seen it. It's been everywhere. We know that you have seen it. But if you didn't, and you watched this already, you should have already got off of this. I'm sorry. I mean, hey, you're here already. But definitely meet us here, same time, same channel, Marvelous Talk. Signing off. It's your main man, Mard, with Dame and Big G. And we're going to be here for you, giving you all of your marvelous talk, man. Until next week, we out.
Peace.